Changing self-directed IRA custodians. Hey everyone, Adam Bergman here, tax attorney and founder of IRA Financial. On today's podcast, I want to explain the ways one can change self-directed IRA custodians. I'm going to start with what is a self-directed IRA custodian, why you'd want to change your custodian, and how exactly it works for moving over cash and or in-kind assets like stocks or private placement notes, or even cryptos. So let's start with what an IRA custodian is. An IRA custodian is an institution based off Section 408. It could be a bank, financial institution, or a state chartered trust company like IRA Financial Trust, which has the authority to custody IRA assets. So if you're not a bank, financial institution, or state chartered trust company, you're not authorized specifically by the IRS as a non-banking trust company, then you cannot custody IRA assets. So you can't open an IRA at Amazon or McDonald's unless they had some type of chart or some type of authority from the IRS. So unlike a traditional custodian such as Fidelity or Schwab, self-directed IRA custodians specialize in custodying alternative assets, non-publicly traded securities. And the marketplace was essentially born in 1974 when IRAs were created, the prohibited transaction rules were promulgated, and the IRS formally allowed for alternative assets to be invested into IRAs. So since the traditional institutions like Fidelity and Schwab don't make money when you buy real estate or other alternative assets, they won't allow you to do it. And it's their choice. Just like IRA Financial Trust could permit or non-permit an investment at our discretion, same for Fidelity and Schwab. So they will prevent you from buying real estate, for example, even though it's perfectly legal. Why? Well, simply they can't make any money when you take your money out of their platform and buy a home from Jane Smith. So they will not permit you to do so. So once you want to set up a self-directed IRA, there's many great self-directed IRA custodians like IRA Financial Trust. Most of the good ones are members of RITA, which is Retirement Industry Trust Association, ritaus.org. So I would go there first to make sure that the custodian you're using is a member of RITA. I think that's super important because it shows the intent on framework, procedures, policies, and compliance. So essentially, self-directed IRA custodians, we don't sell products. We're not investment advisors. We're not fiduciaries. We simply custody alternative assets, right? We don't give investment advice. You come to us, you self-direct your investment. We facilitate that, and we take care of all the IRS administration, Form 5498s, 1099s. We assist with the reporting on distributions, requirement of distributions, contributions, all that great stuff. So you simply could just focus on doing your investments, and we'll take care of all the administration. So let's say you have a self-directed IRA, but you want to switch custodians. Why would you want to switch? A number of reasons. Fees, obviously fees is a big one, right? You want to maybe save some money. Number two, maybe the custodian you're working with doesn't have the expertise in the alternative asset you want to invest in, or maybe simply they're getting out of that investment category. And we've had a lot of clients, for example, that had certain investments and certain private placements, and the custodian was basically saying, you know what, we don't feel comfortable in this area, so you're going to have to find a new custodian. So if you want to set up a new self-directed IRA with a new custodian, obviously a couple things to consider. Number one, fees. Do your research, right? Make sure they're a member of RITA. Check the fees. Do they have flat fees? Do they have asset valuation fees? Are they transaction fees? Their investment fees, or their holding fees, or their wire fees, check fees, all that stuff. You want to make sure you understand. Is there a termination fee? We're very proud of IRA Financial. We have flat fees. It's $360 a year flat. We have no transaction fees. We have no asset valuation fees. So you're going to pay the same amount whether you have 50 grand in a self-directed IRA or 50 million. So we want to give everyone the best potential customer service, no matter the type of asset you have, right? It's your money. You're the one making the investment choices. We're simply doing the administration. And it's really the same administration, whether you have 50,000 or 50 million. Okay. We also don't have any transaction fees. So you can set up an account for $360 and do as many transactions as you want. We don't even have check or wire fees. It is truly a flat fee. And that's something, I'm proud of. I don't really like nickel and diamond people. We also don't have termination fees. So if you set up an account and it just doesn't work out, the investment never materializes, you can close the account and not pay us a penny. In fact, you don't even have to pay us the $360 until you fund the account. So you can go set up an account on our app. I think we have the best technology in the marketplace. You don't have to pay us until you actually send us money, right? So a lot of clients will open the account, kind of get it set up, get all the paperwork done, the account number, and they may not fund it for weeks or months, depending on what happens on their investment. But at least they have the account set up and they don't even have to pay us, assuming the deal doesn't materialize. So fees are important. Also, what do you want to look at? If you're moving cash, cash is cash, right? You have to move it from one self-directed IRA custodian to another. Cash is all direct. Any transfers between IRA custodians are always tax-free, and they can be done in an unlimited amount of time, as long as they're direct, custodian A to custodian B. If it's an indirect rollover transfer where the money goes to the IRA owner first before it's sent to IRA Financial, for example, that's called an indirect transfer, and that can be done only once every 12 months. And when you have access to that asset, whether it's cash or property or cryptos, that has to be returned to an IRA or a 401k within 60 days. So again, that can only be done once every 12 months. That is an indirect. Directs, when it goes custodian to custodian, that can be done unlimited, 1,000 times a year, doesn't matter. Okay, so cash is the easiest. You want to close an account at custodian A, move it to IRA Financial Trust. You move the cash, you open an account with us, fill out a transfer authorization form, and then we request the transfer from the custodian and they'll send us the cash. What about property, right? Real estate, private placements, what happens? Well, essentially it's kind of the same process as cash. The only difference is we have to then retitle the asset. So if you own an LLC, for example, and you want to move it to IRA Financial, let's say now it's custodian ABC, all we would need to do is amend the operating agreement to show the new owner as IRA Financial Trust. What about a private placement? Same thing. You would change the titling from custodian ABC to IRA Financial Trust, so on and so forth. It's really not a difficult process. Just like cash, direct transfers can be done as many times as you want. No tax. If it's indirect and you get the property, whether it's gold or let's say Bitcoin, you have 60 days to return that exact property. If you take cash, you got to return cash within the 60 days. If it's property has to be returned within 60 days. Remember, that's indirect. Okay, don't be confused. Directs, which is the most common, which is custodian to custodian, that can be done as many times as you want during the year. It's always tax-free. You don't need to wait 12 months or have any 60-day window. It's only if you do an indirect where the cash or property goes to the IRA owner first, so it touches my hands, then you would have 60 days to return it to an IRA or 401k plan before it becomes taxable. So it's very common. Obviously, there's millions and millions of self-directed IRAs. Things happen. People want to change custodians, again, whether it's for fees or for just expertise, or maybe they want someone that they feel more comfortable with, or they got a recommendation, whatever the case may be, that's fine. It's your money. You can do whatever you wish. Just make sure when you do pick a custodian, a new one, that I suggest you look at someone who's a member of RITA, and you can find it on ritaus.org, RITAUS.org. I would look at fees very carefully, especially termination fees. Can't tell you how many times people have said, hey, Adam, I wanted to move accounts to you, but this custodian wants to charge $300 to unwind the account. And that's crazy. And so just be careful. Also, asset valuation fees. So let's say you start with 100K, maybe your custodian fee now is only a few $100, but in 6 years, that 100K maybe is worth 180 or 200, and now you're paying $800 a year. Be careful. Same with obviously investment and transaction fees. If you're doing a lot of rental real estate, maybe you're going to have a lot of checks coming back and forth. Those fees can add up quite quickly. And of course, wire fees. You just want to be cautious about that. Some custodians actually charge you for research fees. We don't do that. Again, everything we do is flat. We have attorneys and tax professionals on site, and we'll do the best we can to kind of research the subject matter and get you some type of information. We're not going to charge you any additional amounts for research. So Again, moving money or property between self-directed IRA custodians is tax-free if it's direct. It happens thousands of times a week. It's super easy. Just again, do your research, be cautious, be diligent, and just make sure you pick the right custodian. Because again, once you start, there's costs that add up if you haven't done your research. So hope you guys found today's podcast helpful. Hopefully, if you are thinking about moving IRA custodians, you now have a good idea of kind of what to keep in mind. And hope you guys enjoyed it. I know, I did. And that's it. I hope everyone's having a great summer. Staying safe. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks. Do not forget to subscribe. We have a great channel at IRA Financial. We drop 3 podcasts, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 to 4 videos. And I also do an Adam Live every Wednesday. If you are listening to this podcast, thank you. Keep listening. And again, AdBits drops every Tuesday. So hope to see you again next week. Other than that, take care, be safe, and have a great summer.